Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 18, the perfection of renunciation. Text 19. I guess so. Jnanam karma cha karta cha tridhaiva guna vedataha prochate guna sankhyane yathavach trinutanyapi Jnanam karma cha karta cha tridaiva guna vedataha prochate guna sankhyane yatavach trinutanyapi Jnanam karma cha karta cha Tridhaiva guna vedataha Prochate guna sankhyane Yathavach trinutanyapi Jnana karma cha kartavya Tridhaiva guna vedataha Prochate guna sankhyane Yatavachinuttanyapi Jnanam karma cha karta cha Tridhaiva guna vedata Jnanam karta cha Tridhaiva guna vedata Prochate guna sankhyane Yathavach trinutanyapi Jnanam karma cha karta cha Tridhaiva guna vedata Prochate guna sankhyane Yatavachantanyapi Jnana karma cha karta cha Tridhaiva guna vedataha Prochate guna sankhyane Yatavach trinutanyapi Mataji? Jnanam karma cha karta cha Tridhaiva guna vedata Prochate guna sankhyane Yatavachinuttanyapi Jnanam knowledge Karma, work. Cha, also. Karta, worker. Cha, also. Trida, of three kinds. Eva, certainly. Gunabedita, in terms of different modes of material nature. Prochate are said. Guna Sankyane in terms of different modes. Yatavat as they are. Shrinu here. Tani all of them. Api also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge: action and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. Responsively, according to the three different modes of material nature. We'll do it again. According to the three different modes of material nature. There are three kinds of knowledge: action and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In the 14th chapter, the three divisions of the modes of material nature were elaborately described. In that chapter, it was said that the mode of goodness is illuminating, the mode of passion materialistic, and the mode of ignorance conducive to laziness and indolence. All the modes of material nature are binding. They are not sources of liberation. Even in the mode of goodness, one is conditioned. In the 17th chapter, the different types of worship by different types of men in different modes of material nature were described. In this verse, the Lord says that He wishes to speak about the different types of knowledge, workers, and work itself according to the three material modes. Translation again. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, action, and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarane. So just see here, we're in the 18th chapter. Lord Krishna summarized the entire teaching of Bhagavad-Gita in 17 chapters. Now a bit of a recap. And here the Supreme Lord, speaking to his intimate devotee Arjuna about the different modes of material nature. How goodness, people have certain three kinds of knowledge in goodness, passion, and ignorance. Then their activities in goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the performer of action, the people, who are they that are motivated and forced to act according to their entanglement in this material world. But unfortunately, 99.9% of the people who are living in this material world, they want to believe that everything has happened by chance, that everything, as they say, some believe in God. There are different types of religions as well, with different kinds of sacrifices and different kinds of activities. In this Kali Yuga, the sacrifice and the performance, the topmost performance of all religious practices is the chanting of the Lord's holy name. Kali Kalir Dharma Krishna Nam Sankirtan. And the different modes, according to our association, affect us, just like a person who takes good birth due to his previous pious activities. By Mother Nature, it's arranged that he's injected the seed in the mother, where he has an opportunity for a higher education. And those who are in the mode of goodness, sometimes they're philosophers, poets, and or just able to think more quickly and a more appreciative of Mother Nature and beauty, peace, tranquility. And sometimes they get situated in a cabin on a lake where the birds are, chirping and the sun is shining, or they want to do some good work. So that's mode of goodness, and unfortunately, those persons sometimes become proud. They think that I'm better situated than all these karmacharis, those people working in the factories, and those people who are slaving under the cruel treatment of some boss. And people in this world are driven, and generally due to the family unit. When boy meets girl, girl meets boy, they have family, they have responsibilities for a home, take care of the children, all the necessities which come along with household life are also required, good bank balance and the social prestige which is also involved with one who's showing his success, that I'm intelligent. Unfortunately, one believes it's due to his own endeavor, that it's due to my extreme intelligence or my witty nature, or that I have somehow, by my hard work and my hard labor, look at what I've achieved, But Prabhupada gives the example, two people of equal capacity, intellectual capacity, could be working just as hard as each other, and one becomes very, very wealthy, and the other one can barely get enough money to put food on the table for his dependents. So one may think, well, that's just bad luck, that. So this is a type of mode of goodness that although the mode of goodness is conducive towards contemplating who am I, who is God, there must be some superior arrangement, because the stars and the planets and the sunshine is there, the moonshine providing nourishment for the vegetables, and all the different aspects of universal management. One who's a little bit more contemplative, or like I said, in the mode of goodness, he may be inquisitive, and this is one of the people who surrender to God, inquisitiveness, or in need. Then mode of passion and ignorance. But see, the modes are, even though one may be in the mode of goodness, sometimes passion also infiltrates, and ignorance. It's not like goodness, passion, and ignorance are like living entities or demonic, but these are mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. This material nature is working under Krishna's direction. Krishna is the controller. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. That although we're thinking that we are independent to make choices, God is independent, I'm also independent, I can make all kinds of choices, but we're driven to make the choices by the association, pushed by our previous pious and impious activities, karmana daivana trena. You're born in a certain family, certain surroundings, and you're influenced. And Krishna reminds you, because death means ignorance, that you've worked so hard in that life, and that life is finished, and due to your accumulated pious or impious activities, you're forced into your next mother, to have another body made of material elements. And Krishna, he kind of awakens yes, I'm trying to achieve a certain objective, a certain goal. So people are naturally inclined, as they say, towards certain modes of nature. And passion means that one is running very, very hard for wealth, for accumulating possessions, for reputation, out of pride, and very desirous for sensual enjoyment, sense gratification, all his focus and his energy is geared towards how can I exploit as much as I can from material nature, even though one may have amassed a big wealth. Somebody may have millions of dollars. Then they think in a higher level, how can I double it? Srila Prabhupada told us, book distribution, books are the basis, right? And he says, double it. We're all working in Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva is pure goodness. So devotional service unplugs you from the goodness, passion, ignorance, triguna, vishayaveda, nistragunya, bhavarjuna. Krishna tells Arjuna, come above the modes of nature. Because the modes, they drive us to further entangle ourselves in this material world. Meaning, whether it's goodness or driven by passion for family, for reputation, for money, for sense gratification, or ignorance. People are just addicted to intoxication and worshipping ghosts and spirits. In some small villages, they might find a tree. If they know that there's a ghost or spirit there, they would make some various offerings according to the tradition and rituals for some material objective, either power or some, that I want to achieve wealth, I want to achieve beauty, I want to. People in this material world, everybody has a desire, because ultimately we want to be happy. And no matter how much we struggle with the different modes of material nature and find ourselves entrapped, whether we're in a society of philosophers and or poets or people who are more cultured, or we could be in a gang that's more inclined towards intoxication and causing violence and disturbance, unnecessarily violence to other living entities. Then Krishna is going to describe, after the 14th chapter of elaborately describing the different people and their symptoms in the mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance, what they do, what they're inclined towards, what kind of food they like to eat, and what kind of activities they want to perform. Then Krishna is describing actually the different divisions of faith and godly qualities and demonic qualities. In the very beginning of the divine and demonic qualities, Krishna's elaborately explaining about what are the qualities of a Vaishnava, someone who's very pure. I always found it to be quite complete and very, very nice. So we can just read a little bit about that. This is the 16th chapter, actually, divine and demonic qualities. And after describing what is the godly qualities, he elaborates on what are the demonic qualities. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, and compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. So these are transcendental qualities which Krishna is describing. And unless we have guidance from Scripture, unless we have the proper teacher, because if you go to school, it's not that they give you instructions as how to be a good human being. They give you some technical understanding of, so you can after you finish all your educational pursuits, you can go get a job and work like a dog your whole life, and not really ever understand how to solve the problem. What is the problem of life? What is the problem of my life? Is it that I don't have, the proper friends, or I don't have a good wife or a good husband, or, I want children, I want wealth? But then we have to get above the modes of nature, because ultimately, in the few years that we have in this lifetime, the little bit of gratification that may be there is like a drop in the desert. That you're thirsty for happiness, you're thirsty for pure knowledge, you're for an activity that's going to bring satisfaction. Whenever you see most people, they hate their jobs. They don't want to do their job. They go there because of reciprocation. If the boss is not paying, they're not coming. It's not out of love. So everyone's doing something to get something in return. It's a mercantile business exchange. Even when Prahlad Maharaj was being offered so many facilities, he said, I'm not a merchant. I'm just here. I just want to give myself wholeheartedly. What is bhakti? What is devotion? Bhakti and devotion first starts with faith. We have to have faith that the Vedic literature that's being presented by Srila Prabhupada, Arjuna asked all the questions. Well, what does a pure devotee do? He's fully engaged in the Lord's service. What does he speak? He speaks about the science of self-realization, how to love God. So we see by Prabhupada's personal behavior and his accomplishments and his activities, his love, his depth of realization, his determination, all that was described in the characteristics of godly persons, he possessed. Meaning that as a devotee applies himself in the devotional service of the Lord, Krishna takes immediate notice. It's not that Krishna only protects those who are pure, uncontaminated Vaishnavas, and he just neglects those who are beginners. It says from the very beginning of one's surrender in devotional service, Krishna is giving protection. Krishna is giving notice. He's always giving protection. He's in the heart of everyone. He loves everyone. But of course he reciprocates according to the way that we want to approach him and surrender. Krishna is a person, so we can't just try to pretend that we're interested in Krishna, but actually our motivation is something ulterior, that we want to get wealth, or we want to get some kind of position, reputation. At the same time we'll worship Krishna, but actually we have other motives in mind. Anyabhilashata shunyam jnana karma jnanavritam anukulyena Krishna anushilum bhakti-utamam. That unmotivated, uninterrupted service will bring about the desired goal of awakening this love for Krishna. So Bhagavad-Gita is specifically being spoken to Arjuna, and all the different details of the different modes of nature, to see how people are entangled, how they're in condition. Some are in high security, high solitary confinement due to their very bad behavior. Some are prisoners with some privileges because of their cooperative mood and their good behavior. Then there are those who get out of prison and are free citizens. So material world is the prison house. It's a big prison house. This is Durga's fortress. And all of us are sent to this material world. There's unlimited universes, unlimited planets, there's unlimited solar systems. And here we are on this tiny little earth, thinking that we're the only people that have life. Every place else is just dust. And through our science and technology, we're going to make enough spaceships that we're going to go and conquer other frontiers, spiritual frontiers. But unfortunately, we're tiny little creatures. Death can come at any moment, isn't it? We don't know. Sometimes someone is healthy, but then something happens. Oh, you have only 1 month, 3 months to live. You have cancer. It's all over your body, and you're finished. And we have to deal with the temporary nature of our existence. Okay, this time we have a nice family. We come in a nice, I can go back so many generations, my father, his father, his father, his father. It all stems back to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma was empowered to create progeny and fill up the universe, facilitate all us spirit souls who have somehow or other left the association of Krishna and the spiritual world. It's not illuminated there by electric power or sunlight or moonlight, because everything in Vaikuntha and Goloka Vrindavan is self-luminous. It's brilliant. It's bright. And that brightness of the Vaikunthas is how the sunshine is a reflection of the Vaikuntha, Brahma Jyoti. This is the Lord's effulgence. Because Krishna is everything. Krishna is all, just like we are little eternal sparks of Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha. So the spiritual world, everything is manifested by Krishna, everything is maintained by Krishna, and everything is dissolved in the material Mahatattva by Krishna. The spiritual world ever existing. There's no birth, no death, old age, disease. You have your identity, you have your relationship in eternal existence in the spiritual kingdom. So, the modes of material nature which drive us to act in different ways, doesn't matter even if we're swimming in the darkness of ignorance without knowledge and understanding of the purpose and goal of life, and no one to tell us or guide us. If by good fortune, by your desire, Krishna sends you the bona fide spiritual master, because we can't simply on our own mental speculation. This is a descending knowledge. Krishna, he creates he's the speaker of the Vedas. He brought the Vedic literature to Brahma for the purpose of Guru to disseminate for all time, all conditioned souls to be able to find their way home. Like if you're lost and you get a map and you have a guide who tells you how to follow this map, you feel so indebted and relieved, because everyone who is lost is fearful. They're in anxiety. There's a lot of suffering. I mean, we're in Sri Vrindavan Dham in Srila Prabhupada's rooms in Prabhupada's home, and we're feeling gratitude and appreciation that we can hear about Krishna, we can hear about the conditioning of material life, and how people are falsely pursuing the dream of happiness in a temporary, miserable place. From the highest planet down to the lowest planet are places of misery where repeated birth and death take place. So what is our most important duty? To hear about Krishna. And we've been guided and brought to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, the shelter of a pure devotee. And Prabhupada said, if you want to know me, read my books. Prabhupada's giving all this valuable instruction in the form of Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction, Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have a wealth of knowledge. But staying fixed, don't let the mind become fickle. Vyavasayatmika buddhir, ekeha kurunandana, vahushaka hyanantascha, buddhayo, vyavasayanam. Devotees are vyavasayatmika buddhir. Their attention is focused, that I want to hear from my guru, my spiritual master. I want to serve him. I want to inquire humbly and render service. And the self-realized soul can impart knowledge to you. Krishna's sent Srila Prabhupada sent the whole Guru Parampara, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Krishna sent Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came with Nityananda, Advaita Acharya, and the whole Panchatattva and all the associates, eternal residents of the spiritual kingdom. You think, don't they have something better to do? But they're existing in the spiritual world, but at the same time, simultaneously, due to their power, they come here to bring the family members home. Because we're all brothers and sisters, we're all part of Krishna. Krishna identifies, it's not that, oh well, he has so many other people to think. Like when Krishna left Vrindavan, the gopis were getting really upset. They think, well, he's probably now not even thinking about us. He's with the Mathura, people. They're much more sophisticated. He's probably enamored by their beauty and by their opulence, and he's not even thinking about us. But Krishna's always thinking of his devotees. He's always feeling, waiting for us to turn our face, just like the banyan tree. It was described. It's like its stems, all the branches and twigs and leaves are desires and the modes of nature and how people are entangled and kind of forced. Like paragliding, they rely on the hot airwaves, like the birds and everything. They look for and they're being carried. They're being carried by these waves by force. So material nature is like that. According to our karma and according to our desires, Mother Nature influences us in this way. Daivi hesha gunamayi mamamaya duratyaya. That this divine energy is difficult to overcome, but those who surrender, and that's the only solution, is that we need to surrender to Krishna. And how do we surrender? By accepting the words of Srila Prabhupada. And we may think, well, maybe we should not overanalyze or become too much mental gymnastics, because it's very simple. Srila Prabhupada said that I would sit in front of my Guru Maharaj, even though he was speaking very elevated philosophical understandings which were not really within my comprehension, with my ability to understand, but I just had faith that the message he's delivering is of such great value. I would sit and listen patiently. Even if it's described that one who's illiterate, like the story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Ranganath temple, and there was one devotee who was illiterate, could not read, but his Guru Maharaj told him, every day you should read Bhagavad-Gita. So his local friends were making fun of the Brahmins, so what are you reading today? Because they knew he could not read, but he didn't pay attention to them. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, but I see when you're reading that sometimes you're crying. He says, yes, when I think of Krishna, Parthasarathi, becoming the charioteer, serving his devotee, Arjuna, it makes my heart melt and I cry. And Lord Chaitanya embraced him, says, you have the understanding of Bhagavad-Gita. So it's not that we just become bookworms and or study so many books and so many high philosophical arguments about impersonalism, personalism. Of course, Srila Prabhupada wanted that those who are philosophically inclined, just like Bhakti Swarup Damodar Goswami, who had his PhD in physics, so naturally he has that ability and also the understanding from an academic point of view to discuss with others who may have that inclination. But the devotees, we should not also be lazy and have a regimented schedule. Just like every day we get up 3:30, you come to the Mangal Arti. You come not for any purpose other than just to respect the deity and to offer obeisances to the Lord, because the Lord is giving his audience. So all of us who are fortunate to be able to come and see the Lord and sing his glories, chant and dance together, This is a process of purification. I'm reading about Ambarish Maharaj, and he was the emperor of the whole world, and he had many responsibilities, but he was fixed in his devotion. He used his eyes to see the Lord, his ears to hear the glories of the Lord, his tongue to chant the Lord's glories, and everything, all his activities and performance was strictly Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. One of surrender, prayers, worship. And then, these are examples for us to follow. Although we may not feel qualified that, I'm just, we think, oh, we're Westerners, what do we know about Vedic culture? But actually, the body is not the impediment. Krishna in the heart can illuminate Teshang satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvikam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship with love, I give the understanding how to come to me. He didn't say only philosophers and only people born in this section of the world or that section of the world. Anyone, says even women, Shudras, low-class personalities, doesn't matter. One should not distinguish by the external bodily or by birth, because one is evaluated by his behavior. That if one is clean, is chanting mantra, reading Bhagavatam, reading Gita, and serving the Lord with his energy and capacity, then the Lord gives him more and more strength. I am the ability in man. I am the intelligence of the wise. It's not that, I don't have the... Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was very, very elderly. He came and prayed to Madan Mohan, instructed by Lord Nityananda. He said, you should write the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he felt totally incompetent. How can I do that? It's like I'm a lame man trying to cross a mountain, or blind man trying to see the stars in the sky. And this is Krishna's potency, Krishna's power. How could Srila Prabhupada come at 70 years old, suffering heart attacks, no money, to a foreign country and establish Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission all over the world in a very, very short time? It's actually unheard of, unprecedented, the accomplishment and achievement that Srila Prabhupada performed by the mercy of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, his guru. He had strong faith in his Guru Maharaj. But he also expressed that Krishna's your only friend. Bhoktarang jagatapasang sarvaloka maheshwaram. Suhridang sarvabhutanam gyatmamang shanti mrischati. That this is the peace formula. Everyone's looking for peace, happiness. But the real peace formula is that Krishna, Bhoktarang jagatapasang, he's the owner of the whole universe. Sarvaloka maheshwaram, the controller of everything. He's a friend of all living beings. Everything's meant for the pleasure of Krishna. Just like in a real loving relationship, a person out of love, the boy is infatuated in love with the girl, he come with the flowers and, offering with the heartfelt. So this is just an example. But when we are offering the flowers, the lamp to the deity, or we're making preparations of the food offering for the Lord's pleasure, and then the prasadam for our purification, but it's a set of the mentality. So we will rise above this tamoguna, mode of ignorance, rajaguna, mode of passion, which just is always, the senses are always irritating, the mind is always irritated, thinking of how to get more and more, how to gratify it. But it's like putting drops of fat on the fire. It just blazes. It If you're always feeding the fire, what happens? It won't go out. It never goes out. So this process of bhakti-yoga is jnana vairagya. Gyan means knowledge. And cultivating knowledge means that you're studying Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. You're hearing the classes and you're bettering yourself, just like if you're at the university or college and preparing for any kind of, whether doctor, lawyer, or, there's so many complications and things that you must learn in order just to pass the mundane degrees. So just imagine to become deathless, no more suffering, no more birth and death in this material world, no more illusion, and unlimited happiness. So this is an offering by the Lord, by His pure devotee, in the form of Bhagavad-Gita, the association of devotees. Prabhupada said, wherever the chanting of the Lord's holy name is, that is ISKCON. See? It's not just some structural organization, this bureau and GBC, presidents and temples everywhere. This is a structural organization to facilitate those who are interested in spiritual life. And so we should be very careful to choose our association, meaning that if somebody's simply interested in sense gratification and economic development and nonsense, then you avoid that. If someone is eager to hear about Krishna and chant about Krishna and participate in that kind of spiritual activity, that'll draw us in. So Srila Prabhupada created ISKCON, but ISKCON is that place where everyone is chanting the Lord's holy name together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this age, sacrifices are not recommended, like horse sacrificing, or not to speak of cow sacrifice. There are many things. One should not take sannyas, and many restrictive rules and regulations due to the fact that we don't have qualified brahmanas. The varnashram system still needs to be developed. Srila Prabhupada was transcendentally lamenting in 1976, I think he was either in Gita Nagari or New Vrindavan, and devotees said, why are you feeling that you didn't finish the Bhagavatam translation? He said, no, that I did not have a chance to establish this varnashram dharma, because ultimately Chatur Varnyang Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Krishna created this brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas, and then we have Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So it's not that, I don't want to be classified, but it's not just the artificial stamping or labeling. If one is Brahminical, it means that he's clean, he's truthful, he studies the Vedas, he teaches others the Vedas, he understands the purpose and goal of life. So Brahmana is naturally a teacher, he's a godly person. And the Kshatriya, he takes guidance from the Brahmana, because the Kshatriya is empowered to rule the citizens, to protect the citizens, to make sure that they're all engaged in their respective duties to become happy. Otherwise, if there's no organization, it becomes chaos. We see so much chaos in the world now because of very poor government, poor administration, because they're godless and they have no clue as how to arrange. And then the Vaishyas are protected. The Vaishyas, they produce, they're the grihastas, because we have brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. We're all just beggars, in a sense that they're not the ones who are employed or making money. Their interest is spiritual development. Although the grihastha, he performs sacrifices, he gives in charity, and they build temples, they do many, many things. But they're also a very important, without the stomach, forget the head, legs, and arms, because everything falls apart if you don't have that nutrition and supplements. So it's all created by the Lord. And then Shudras, they have no inclination or ability for spiritual development in the form of studying Shastra or good qualities. And so they properly assist the other three orders so that the whole society is organized under the direction of the Vedic literature, under scripture, sadhu, shastra, guru. And it's not just some ancient books we're reading and creating some mysticism to bewilder people. It's a way of life. This Krishna consciousness is giving everyone an opportunity to awaken their original consciousness, their original love, their original knowledge. It says consciousness like water, pure. But if you put a colored dye in there, the whole color changes. The consciousness becomes changed by the different qualities and modes of nature. So we have to act in Krishna's service. This is the whole thing. This is going on. Sankirtan, book distribution, preaching, and whatever service according to the direction of the Guru and the guidance of your senior respected devotees are assisting us, then we should feel that shelter. This will bring us real happiness. I think it's 6 o'clock. So there's so much, and we are full of good fortune and should be full of gratitude for Srila Prabhupada for saving us from this ocean of misconception and suffering. Hare Krishna. Any question? Comment? Yes, Prabhuji. You can speak. Go ahead. I'll repeat it. Bolo. Anybody chanting Hare Krishna?
You said Prabhupada said that is ISKCON or something like that.
No, I said where the chanting of the Lord's holy name, of Krishna's name, that is ISKCON. So we as a society, when we're all Krishna says, I'm not in the heart of the yogis or the mystics. I'm where the devotees are chanting my glories. I am there. So ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is not just a mundane organization. The essence of Krishna consciousness is the chanting of the holy name and glorification of the Lord. So wherever glorification of the Lord is taking place, this is ISKCON. It's just to reinforce the fact that sometimes people think, oh, I don't trust ISKCON, because now you're talking on a different level, a different managerial structure of some sort. We have imperfect senses, we make mistakes, we're sure to be illusioned, we have a cheating propensity, 4 frailties of human beings. But because Krishna is perfect and the pure devotee is perfect, they give us perfect guidance. And what their guidance is, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Really, like as you mentioned in the beginning also the fortune, like our fortunate position there in ISKCON and Vrindavan, and in the end also you explained that. But this, like if somebody has that fortune, like I'm speaking about myself only, he values that place. But my case, like, I don't value that and I don't do hard work for that.
So I mentioned in the beginning that we're all very fortunate to be in ISKCON and here in Vrindavan, but you're not fully appreciating and fully valuing that aspect of it. Yes, it may take some time for our maturity. It may take some time for our clarity. Just like the colored water, as you filter that water, it becomes clear, transparent, and you can see very clearly. So right now, we're still struggling. We're in the shower. You may still be dirty. You think, oh, but you still get angry, or you still have lust, and you're still misbehaving. How is it? This process doesn't work. No, you keep following. You keep very strongly adhering to what Prabhupada's given us. He said, don't jump out of the boat when the waters get turbulent, because where are you going to end up? In the turbulent waters, ultimately. So, you have to be patient. Say, utsahan nishchayat taryat tat tat karma pavartanat. So, enthusiasm, determination, and patience. Thank you, everybody. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.